Hello everyone, my name is Tom and I'm from the Extremely Pro Gamers. Today I've got a another commentary for you. This is a bit of Battlefield 3 gameplay on this was 360. It has been sped up a bit because otherwise it'd be far too long for me to continue talking over, as I don't really have that much to say. Bad enough as it is I have to get 12 minutes worth of talking done, so I best flesh out what I'm trying to say as much as possible then. Gameplay is not really important, as I want to talk to you about a different issue today. It's not even that great a gameplay. I think I do go a little bit negative, but I like to think that the gameplay is entertaining as it is. Anyway, as you might have seen by the title, the topic I want to talk to you about today is the possibility of Game Group or the Game Station and game stores in UK going bust. As it stands, Game have lost a lot of, well, not a lot, several suppliers for games, as they lost a credit contract, as I understand. And these suppliers, the main one that people would have heard of would be EA Games. Now this means that Game and GameStation, I think, will not be aren't stocking Mass Effect 3 and won't be stocking games like EA. Not EA, that's not a game. FIFA Street and FIFA 13, and any other game made by EA, as EA don't see them as a viable outlet for their stores. Now, obviously, for companies like HMV, possibly CEX, and online companies like Amazon and perhaps Steam, this is a good thing, as it's less competition for them and their sales. I can imagine the HMV high street sales of EA games are going to rocket because there's no competition. So, in their perspective, I'd assume it's a good thing for them. But from a gamer's perspective or an overall perspective of the thing, it's a very bad thing, as it's two of the biggest gaming stores in the country, and Game Group isn't just in the UK. They have stores in Australia and all across Europe. They have 600 game stores in the UK, I've read on the BBC website. So that, from a perspective of just a general gamer, it's a very bad thing, because you don't want shops that are your main outlet for gaming to go, because the way it's looking, the high street's dying, and we'll be buying everything off the net. Now, I say that it's a bad thing, but to be honest, I'm not majorly surprised by it. This is because, well, compared to places like Amazon, or websites like Amazon, or services like Steam, Game and GameStation do seem to charge a lot more for the games. Now, I guess this is due to they have to pay staff and workers and the shipping costs to get it to them, then back, But, for example, this game here, Battlefield 3, at the time of purchasing it, this game was £45 in Game and GameStation on the high street. I think it was £40 in HMV, and off Amazon it was 35. Now that's a £10 difference on a game, and the only downside to it was that I had to wait a few days for it to get delivered. But for £10 less, that's not really an issue, is it? Now, the fact that Game and Game Group are charging so much more for their games is probably one of the reasons they're not doing so well. Apparently, they had a very poor Christmas because of companies like Steam and Amazon. Now, that's because they're pricing their games too highly. If they lowered the prices of their games, they might be doing better, but I don't think they're in a position to lower their prices, because companies don't make a lot of brand new games. They make a few quid. They make a lot more of pre-owned games. But again, with companies like Amazon or eBay, for example, selling pre-owned games for whatever people feel like selling them at, they're gonna lose business, because there's not the people It's hard times, we're in a recession, and people aren't going to want to pay a five or more for a game that they can, just so they can have it immediately, then they can, if they pay a five or less, so you have to wait a few days to get it. That's probably the main issue that Game are facing, because their games are more expensive than those online, and people are preferring to go online to save money, because everything nowadays is about saving money. Now, you've got, obviously there's game.co.uk and gamestation.co.uk, the online shops of Game and Gamestation, but still their prices usually match the shop prices. Now, at the current time, the price of Battlefield, I'm just go back to look up the price of Battlefield 3 on game.co.uk, and then I'll compare this price with the Amazon price, and then I'll also compare it with the play.com price, just so we can get a perspective of the price of games in game compared to other online retailers. Right, now Battlefield 3 on the Xbox 360 has actually gone down in price since I bought it. Game.co.uk are selling it for £34.99, so we'll round that up to 35 quid. Now on Amazon, the cheapest version of Battlefield 3 on the Xbox 360 is currently at used £21.95, or 16. There's 16 new at the moment for £31. Now that isn't a massive difference anymore, but it's still a difference. It's £4 difference in the price. Now I think play.com will probably be exactly the same as game, because they usually are, but I'll check it anyway, because just want to get as many sources as possible. But even a £4 difference is a lot to people these days, because of the recession, and there's £4 they could be spending on food to keep themselves fed and homed than to pay on a game. If you're following what I'm saying, yeah, game players selling it for £40, but they have got them for £22.99 on their website. So, but that's not the point. What I'm trying to get at is, while companies online are selling games a lot cheaper than they are in the shops, because especially services like Steam, because they don't have to ship the games out to you. There's no packaging involved. So games like Football Manager are about £30 in the shops, yet on Steam they don't have to pay. You don't have to pay as much as that, because there's no packaging involved. Football Manager 2012 at the moment is £19.99 on Steam, and that's a £10 difference between that and what I saw it for in HMV a few days ago. And another thing that puts Steam ahead of the others is the amount of sales they have on. Steam are constantly selling games for huge discounts. So at the moment, Sid Meier's Civilization 5 has got 75% off on it today. That's an immense saving. I'm not sure how much it usually is. I can check that now, but 75% off. You don't get sales like that in shops. It's gone down. Civilization 5 has gone down from $19.99 to $4.99. That's an incredible saving that you wouldn't get in a game store, because they can't afford to do that, because because of all the services they have to pay for, as well as selling the game. If you get what I'm trying to say. But with Steam or Amazon, I think we might see the end of Game Group in the UK. I don't like to say it because it's a good shop, well, sort of good shop, but they are very close to entering administration, as some people are saying that Game may actually fail to pay a rent bill later this month, and their shares have dropped drastically. The price of their shares are down by 58%, which is immense. So Game obviously trying to solve all their problems as quickly as they can, but they've also said they're unsure if their efforts will be successful. And if they do fail to pay this rent bill at the end of the month, this really does increase the possibility that Game Group will go into administration. Now what this means is that they'll either go bust completely, and just not be able to sell games in stores anymore because they can't afford to, so they might do what Woolworths or Zavvi did and just go online only, but then they'd have to lower their prices to match Amazon. But hopefully, what I'm hoping is that there'll be a company interested in buying them out. Someone like, there have been rumours that GameSpot, I think it is in America, no, is it GameSpot? Something like that, in an American company are thinking of buying them out, but they don't want the Australian branches, so they'll have to figure out a way around that. But, you know, I think a lot of us are hoping that Game gets bought out because none of us want to see it gone. But I think the cold truth is that it probably will go, because it's had a really bad Christmas, it's had a bad start to the year, it isn't stocking big selling games made by big companies like EA. So imagine the amount of money Game make every year from stocking FIFA. They're going to lose that unless they sort out their business really quickly. As you know, companies like HMV and Amazon must be laughing because they're going to get all of Game's business are going to go to all of those sort of companies. So it's worrying times for Game and the staff at Game, because that'll be a lot of regular people just out of their jobs and more unemployment. Well, anyway, this is the end of my commentary, I think, as we're ending near of the gameplay. This has been Tom, or Saint Rez, from the Extremely Pro Gamers, and that concludes this commentary. Thank you for listening.